The Homestake mine in South Dakota is one of the greatest gold producers in the world. The mine produced gold for an astonishing 125 years, between 1876 and 2001. The New York Times estimates the Homestake mine produced a total of 44 million ounces of gold. That's larger than the proven gold reserves of every mine in Nevada today combined. CMI Gold and Silver named Homestake as one of the world's 10 most prolific gold fields. Homestake ranked just behind the legendary California gold fields and ahead of the famous Klondike Gold District of northern Canada, which sparked one of the greatest gold rushes ever known to man. Homestake's original owner was George Hearst, patriarch of the Hearst family, that today commands a $24 billion empire, including the San Francisco Chronicle, Cosmopolitan Magazine, and ESPN. The mine even inspired pop culture, most notably the hit Deadwood, which featured George Hearst as a character. Now, unfortunately, South Dakota is no longer a mining-friendly state. Even though the Homestake mine closed relatively recently in 2001, today, South Dakota's gold production has dwindled to just 1% of total U.S. output. In fact, South Dakota is surrounded by states not really open to mining. So there's been almost no recent effort using modern geochemical and geophysical tools to search for new mines like Homestake. That's despite the fact that this is a huge prize at 44 million ounces. But what if another Homestake deposit could be found, not in South Dakota or the mining unfriendly states around it, but instead in one of the best places in the world for mining? That's the Canadian province of Saskatchewan, ranked as one of the top 3 mining jurisdictions on the planet by think tank the Fraser Institute. You see, Deadwood isn't just a television show. Deadwood is also the name of the rock formation where settlers first discovered gold at Homestake. Geologists call this gold-bearing rock the Deadwood Sandstone. The Deadwood Sandstone and the belts of older gold-rich rocks underneath it aren't just found in South Dakota. Geologists have discovered the same Deadwood Sandstone in North Dakota and further north into Saskatchewan. These are fossils called brachiopods. They're common in the Deadwood Formation in the Black Hills around the Homestake mine. Now, in 2003, Canadian geologists discovered the exact same fossils in sandstones from an oil well in Saskatchewan. This proves, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that the Deadwood sandstones, the same rocks that first yielded gold at Homestake, also underlie the Saskatchewan prairies. There are more geologic similarities between Saskatchewan and South Dakota. Both regions sit atop the Tabernor Fault, a giant 1,500 kilometer long crack in the Earth's surface that allowed mineral-rich fluids to flow. You can see it clearly in the magnetic geophysical image here. The Tabernor Fault feeds the Homestake mine, and it also connects to major mineral deposits in Saskatchewan, like the Fort Alicorn diamond fields, the Seabee Gold Mine, operated by SSR Mining, and even the famous Flin Flon Mining District. With all these similarities, it seems obvious to look for new mines like Homestake along the Tabernor Fault in mining-friendly Saskatchewan. In fact, several leading Canadian geologists have discussed it, like University of Saskatchewan PhD researcher Kyle DeRoche, who wrote that vein quartz samples from Saskatchewan are, quote, similar to those obtained from Paleoproterozoic gold-bearing vein systems, such as the Homestake gold deposit. But there's a challenge. In Saskatchewan, the gold-bearing rock units are buried beneath younger rocks. Here's the outline of those cover rocks. They obscure most of Saskatchewan, and most places here you can't see the Deadwood Sandstone at surface, unlike in South Dakota, where settlers could just walk up to rich gold veins literally sticking right out of the ground. So these cover rocks in Saskatchewan range from hundreds of meters thick to as little as a few meters thick. But even that thin layer, even a few meters, has been enough to dissuade mining companies from looking for another Homestake. Oil and gas companies, however, are used to probing beneath cover rocks for new finds. And in 1957, the Amerada Company drilled a test well in central Saskatchewan looking for oil. Here's that well. number 13326521W2. It penetrated through younger rocks all the way to the Deadwood Sandstone, but the well didn't find oil, so Amarata plugged it up and left. But the drill core from that well stayed in a government storage facility, and that included rock samples from the Deadwood Sandstone. Over a decade passed until 1970, and in that year, major mining firm Anglo American launched a large exploration program across central Saskatchewan, and they were looking for new deposits of uranium, copper, and nickel. Anglo American geologists were interested in the drill core from the 1332 well, so they retrieved those rock chips from the government laboratory and sent them for assay to check for valuable minerals, the base metals that they were looking for. But instead of copper and uranium, they found gold. Their analysis showed that the Deadwood rock unit from the oil well drill core contained 7.8 grams per ton gold over a 6.4 meter interval. That's pretty similar to the average gold concentration at the Homestake mine, which is 8.8 grams per ton gold. Workers also noted other similarities between the gold-rich Saskatchewan oil well and the ores at the Homestake mine. For example, the Deadwood rocks in the oil well contained pyrite, which is a mineral the U.S. Geological Survey calls the dominant sulfide at the Homestake mine. And the oil well also contained magnetite, which is another Homestake ore mineral. Geologists looked more, and they recorded visible amounts of talc and iron in the oil well drill core, and especially they noted chlorite, which is a mineral intimately associated with gold at Homestake. Here's even a picture of a rock rich in green chlorite that's posted on the Wikipedia write-up about the Homestake mine. Anglo American's geologists started wondering what was below the bottom of that mineralized oil well, and they recognized that the gold-bearing rock in the oil well was a conglomerate. As this cross-section shows at Homestake, gold-rich conglomerates often lie just on top of the main gold lodes that produce the majority of Homestake's 44 million ounces. So geologists also realized that the oil well had been stopped just above the older Proterozoic rocks that host the main Homestake ore bodies. For oil drillers, this Proterozoic rock layer is too old to hold petroleum, so they had no interest in drilling deeper. Then one final piece of the puzzle came together thanks to geochemistry. The rocks near the gold-bearing section of the oil well were rich in arsenic. As this table of geochemical results from Homestake shows, arsenic is a key indicator of nearby gold. The gold-rich interval also contained anomalous nickel, another element which is a good indicator for gold at Homestake. Even though Anglo American wasn't primarily looking for gold, with this evidence, they were intrigued to see what lay just beneath the gold-bearing oil well bottom. So they diverted a rig to the site of the old oil well and attempted to twin the hole. The rig malfunctioned, however, and no drill core was retrieved from the new hole. After trying one more time, Anglo American gave up and moved on to nickel and copper targets further northeast. Although Anglo American didn't investigate the gold target further, their drilling just a few kilometers to the northeast uncovered another piece of evidence. Drilling found buried gabbros shot through with pyrite. At the Homestake mine, such gabbros are an important host for gold. To this day, no one has drilled beneath the gold-rich conglomerate in the 1332 well. After Anglo American left, the gold bust of the late 1980s and 1990s froze out much of the exploration in this area. Could there be a Homestake discovery waiting just a few meters deeper? Like those finds made by the South Dakota settlers in the 1870s when they dug beneath the gold-bearing conglomerates in the Deadwood Formation and hit the mother lode? A nearby drill program in the late 1990s offers some further clues. That was done by Golconda Resources, a junior mining company, which drilled to check for iron oxide copper gold, IOCG deposits. They found a large iron formation extending across at least 1.1 kilometers toward the mineralized oil well. That kind of iron formation hosts most of the richest mineralization at the Homestake mine. In fact, the U.S. Geological Survey says that Homestake is, quote, the largest iron formation hosted gold deposit known, end quote, on Earth. Golconda Resources also reported that the Saskatchewan Iron Formation contained quartz and chalcedony veining. Here's a picture of quartz veins from Homestake, which are similar. Although Golconda's drilling was proceeding northwest towards the 1332 well, The company abandoned the Saskatchewan project before reaching the area of the oil well. So compiling all of this data back to 1957, for what we believe is the first time ever, we acquired 98 square kilometers of mineral claims, the Mammoth project. This land package extends from the quartz chalcedony veined iron formation discovered by Golconda Resources to cover the 1332 well where Anglo-American found 6.4 meters grading 7.8 grams per ton gold, and beyond, to cover a magnetic geophysical feature interpreted as a fold nose. Now the fold nose is important because it's similar to the anticlinal fold setting at Homestake. There, the core of the fold shows a strong magnetic response, just like here, and also similar to the iron formation that was discovered by Golconda Resources immediately to the southeast. Anglo-American and others showed that the cover rocks here are approximately 250 meters thick, right around the oil well, and getting thinner to the north. Anglo-American's mapping also showed a major fault, the Stanley Fault, running through the middle of the license. Structures like this can be feeders for mineralization, and Anglo-American even suggested that these structures might be connected to Flin Flon, which is a prolific mining district just east of this area. With the help of modern geophysical surveys, this target can be properly tested by drilling for the first time ever. If drilling proves the gold-bearing conglomerate from the 1332 well is connected to a larger ore body below, it would unlock a large new gold play in one of the top 3 mining jurisdictions on the planet. In fact, Anglo-American reported that their twin drill hole near the gold-bearing zone was cased to the bottom of the hole. That means that a modern re-entry of this well could be carried out and might provide a very low-cost drill test of what's underneath the gold-bearing conglomerate. Cutting-edge soil gas geochemistry might also give indications of gold at depth even before the drilling. The team that discovered this project, led by Dave Forrest, a geologist with 2 decades of experience, is responsible for discoveries such as the 10 million ounce TTDB gold deposit. They've been backed by seed financing from mining legends like Robert Friedland and Lucas Lundin, and gone on to raise over $80 million in institutional financing from billionaire investors like John Paulson, Tom Kaplan of the Electrum Group, Seth Klarman of Baupost, and firms such as Tocqueville Asset Management, RBC, and Manulife Financial. The Mammoth, Saskatchewan is the team's newest project, giving investors the opportunity for a true generational wealth gold discovery, not seen in Canada since the Hemlo find in Ontario in 1981, uncovered 22 million ounces in new gold reserves, creating billions of dollars in profits.